Hey, so this is episode 2 of Reactor. Hey,
Episode 2. We made it.
how you doing? It's been a couple of weeks since we spoke.
It's pretty good. Still editing number 1.
Okay.
But or I shouldn't say still editing. I'm still building the site, but it's making progress. It's on its way.
Okay.
So I guess maybe the one non-technical thing that is on my mind a bit is both of us had a goal of health for the year. And I was pretty good about keeping up my goal of running 2 out of 3 days up till Chinese New Year.
Oh, nice.
And then it's just been nothing but coronavirus on the news. So
Right.
now it's like I'm not sure if I need to wear a face mask if I go out jogging.
Bit scared about going out.
I'm not terribly scared because I mean this is kind of my second time through this because right after I finished college I was in Taiwan when SARS was a thing, and people were panicking. There was all kinds of not everyone panicking, but there were a lot of sensational rumors and news and stuff like that, and it's kind of the same thing again. So.
Well, I listened to No Agenda, and they really downplay it. They basically say, "Look, this." In fact, every time there's been an outbreak like this, so no, I don't know for anyone who's not familiar with No Agenda. It's a podcast and with Adam Curry and John Dvorak, and they essentially sort of look at the media and debunk it. And
Okay.
when SARS came out and the one before that as well, they're always just like, "Look, this is just sort of media sensationalism. It's actually a lot less serious than people are making out."
Yeah, I mean, it's especially like if you're really old or have some other conditions.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
dangerous, but it's not
Sure.
like it's not like end of the world kind of dangerous. So
Well, it's supposed to be. It's like less. I mean, it doesn't really kill you itself. It can potentially get you because it sort of keeps on attacking your immune system, right?
I think this. I mean, at least from what I understand, this is like a really bad flu. It's actually not as quite as deadly as SARS was, but it spreads more easily. So it's kind of like between SARS and a flu. I think a lot of people probably already got it and thought they had a cold or something, and it's really just the bad cases people hear about. But who knows? Because as usual, it's kind of hard to tell with what's being reported in China and what's not, and that kind of thing. But I think I'm not going to freak out until there's somewhere else, like maybe Singapore or Japan or something, where it's like really spreading. Because last time, it was really mostly just China where it was a problem. So
Hey, are you sharing like keys and stuff on your screen right there, or is that
keys?
Is that debugging backwards and forwards? The
The CSRF
token.
token. Well, that's just one I've got in dev for
Got
the
it.
site that isn't launched yet, so we're okay there.
So that site is the home for the Reactor podcast that's going to exist one day that you're building.
Exactly. It's a little, well, it's a bit slow because I'm turning it all into screencast for Alchemist
Nice.
Camp, and then what makes it even slower is I'm using this new thing called Phoenix Live View, and the library is exciting. Lots of people want tutorials for it, but it's also not yet to 1.0, so they keep changing stuff.
Oh, so that's a part of the Phoenix frame. Well, it's an add-on to Phoenix, right? Is it? Or
Yeah. I don't know. Have you heard of Laravel Livewire?
I have.
So that was inspired by this thing, by Phoenix Live View. It's not quite as good of a fit for Laravel because this like really leans on what Elixir is good at. But basically, the idea is you can write everything in Elixir, and what would have been AJAX requests just turn into WebSocket communication, and so you'll get like front end functionality with without writing a normal front end.
Nice. So I guess last time we were talking through, we did a fair amount of it talking through Nugget and mental models things.
Yeah.
And we were also talking about the plan, your marketing plan.
Yep.
I'd love to just hear what what you've done for the marketing plan. Have you put anything together, any docs or any not docs, like a plan? Oh, great. Let's have a look at
sort
that.
Of. Actually, I just got on the site. It's called Whimsical. Lets you make
nice.
a mind map. And I like the mental models too. I think maybe we should do those.
We should
regularly.
Yeah,
maybe like one or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, let me zoom back out. This is pretty new to me. So, what this is just kind of like an overview of everything I'm working on, or all the things I'm thinking about working on for Alchemist Camp's marketing.
Yeah.
So I broke it into fundamentals, which includes SEO, YouTube, email, and now recently podcasts, and then community sites like Reddit or Hacker News, that kind of forums, that kind of thing, and then experiments, which could be anything on-site or off-site I'm trying out. I read the Traction book by Gabriel Weinberg, and that's inspired a little bit of it, but I'm not, doing like a traction channel by traction channel test because, partially because a lot of them are expensive or unfeasible for me at this time. But
got it.
This is the basic layout, and it's space, and then I can drag stuff. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I can just walk through the stuff I wrote down, I guess.
Yeah.
The core, it is marketing, but it's also the core product for Alchemist Camp. It's a screencasting site that teaches people elixirs. So that means I've got to be recording videos. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. The free ones are basically a marketing channel, as well as something that even paying members like to get. Then SEO is probably where I get most of my traffic. I think even more than YouTube is just people coming in off of Google search. And then email is something I've only done sporadically, but it's been crucial for speeding up sales. There's just like this just step function in MRR where it just kind of changed angles once I started doing email marketing.
So just to talk us a little bit more through that. So what does that look like?
The email marketing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I modeled this off of what I learned in 30 by 500. So it's a 4 email sequence, and the beginning part of it isn't focusing on making a sale at all. It's basically just identifying a pain that someone learning Elixir might have, or someone who might want to learn Elixir would have, and then imagining like the counter of that pain, like the perfect world where that pain never existed. So like a place where scaling servers is effortless, and there's no trade-off between making something scalable and having it be quick to develop it, and you don't need things like Sidekick. Just write things quickly, and then it's still easy to scale them, something like that. And then bigger picture, how to think about your career, your learning in general, and then finally some sales pitches after that.
So wait, so that's ends up being 4 drip emails. So you create email number 1, 2, 3, 4. So someone comes to Alchemist Camp, you have some kind of way of getting their email address in the first place. How do you do that part?
That's pretty easy. On Alchemist Camp, there's this huge create a free account button.
Nice.
So I'm basically trying to funnel people towards using the free stuff. Like I'm not trying to sell anything early on, because once they start binging enough free content, a good percentage will go to paid. So These links here, these tags, like say someone wants to learn about sockets. If they click on that, they'll have a list of all the episodes related to sockets. However, up until just a couple months ago, people had to be logged in to even do that. So like they could get a link externally for some tagged category, kind of like with Quora. You can go directly to that URL, but then if you click any link on it to anything else on Quora, you have to log in.
Yeah,
I did that kind of thing. Then, like more recently, I've opened this up so anyone can click on it. But in the request system, if anyone wants to request new features or new content, they have to have an account in order to make the request, or in order to even click through to the details on a specific request. So it's those two things, and mostly, people want.
So you're saying that's how people are giving you their email address because they sign up to submit a feature request?
A lot of people do. It's a little bit gamified, but
and then you start a drip sequence based on that?
Not yet. There's also another. So the most sophisticated thing I have is on all the articles and all the episodes, all the content that gets shared directly. At the bottom, there's this request a free email course, and I think I may have gone over that a little bit last time. Like I have a few questions for them, and then it's not automated though yet. So the sales emails I sent before, I've done that twice. Once was in the summer, and then once was Black Friday, and none of that was automated. I just sent out one email, and then a couple days later I sent out another one, and then did it manually. Then for Black Friday, I moved everything over to ConvertKit and started making the automations, but I didn't understand how to use ConvertKit properly, and ended up sending them manually anyway.
Okay, so the understanding of the 4 email sequence comes from the 30 by 500 course. You don't have it in a fully automated drip sequence where someone signs up and then you send them that out over every 3 days or something like that. You're still sort of sending them out manually at specific times in the year right now.
So I'm working on making like an evergreen lifecycle email, like you were talking about.
Right.
Where it is right now is I've got the sequence of Black Friday emails saved, but one of those was time dependent because I was writing about something I had just done, and the others are all reusable. And then with this free email course, that is also manual because I'm getting people's feedback and just kind of doing a little bit higher touch. But once it's clear to me like what variants of it I want based on people's like level of Elixir background, like what language, what other programming language they're coming from, maybe, then I'll automate it.
How long do you think that's going to take? Like, do you think it's going to be months? Do you think it's going to be weeks before you can automate it?
It could be months. I think the time for me to do it isn't that much, but the time to get enough people to go through it and get feedback from them is quite a bit longer.
Interesting.
So
this is
the thing I want to set up is I want to make it so that people go through this free email course, and then if they're responding quickly, they can continue through the course quickly. And then when they finish it, then that goes into the 4 email pitch sequence.
Mm-hmm. But the free email course doesn't exist yet.
Not automated.
No,
it's
automated.
It's just me sending like, here's your next challenge.
Yeah, that's interesting to me. I mean, I can't imagine doing it the way that you're doing, because to me it's always been such a powerful. You said it was a step function. It's always been super powerful. From in Plugio and in Nugget and in other things that I've worked on. like I've always put upfront effort and time into creating a sequence, at least that way. And the reason why is because I wanted an automated way to sort of stay front of mind, keep market share in their brain, and to just sort of keep reaching out to people. That would seem like a lot of work. So do you track every new person who comes through, and then you sort of reach out to them individually? Is that how you do it?
Well, if they sign up through making an account, which most people do actually, it's kind of interesting. Like the new signups I get are I think over 95% just going to create an account, or because they click on a link that requires they're logged in and then they make an account and log in. Only about 5% are from looking for a free email course. And this used to be like just an email sign up form. And at that time it was even a little bit lower than clicking for the free email course.
Well, so that's what I did with Plugio as well. Basically, you get to the front page of Plugio, which doesn't exist anymore, but it used to be a social media dashboard. I sold it, and they ran it into the ground, and it doesn't exist. But when it did exist, you got to the homepage, and like in the middle of the homepage, it just was create free account right now, and it was like a one click, and then it signed them in through Twitter, and then they were in there, and then I basically sent them an email and just said, I've got some things to tell you about Twitter. Click this link, and then you'll be subscribed. You know what I mean? So, I think that is a really good way to create those to get those initial email addresses, and you can at least send them one email that way, and then get them to opt in to, stuff in the future.
Well, I have them opt in during the sign up actually.
Oh, perfect. Let's see that flow.
I guess I'll just log out and then go through sign up. So there's an agree to terms and conditions in it that includes that I can email them.
Okay.
And
perfect.
then if someone opts out of anything in ConvertKit, then they're out of all the promotional stuff, all the newsletter, all those kinds of emails, but they can still get the
transactional stuff.
Yeah,
like password resets.
Password reset, or that kind of thing.
I like that. I think that's a really good model, and I think that I will do that for my next product. What you just described, but I know that I think there are probably some people who aren't so keen on it. But for me, as a product owner who's like developed products, I definitely want that kind of flow. Yeah,
so now that I'm not logged in, I'm on the requests, and if I'm interested in this Docker plus Kate's deployment of an Umbrella app, and I click on it, it says you must be logged in to access the page. Mm-hmm. So that takes me to log in, and then if I don't have an account, I sign up. So that's the main thing that pushes people.
Do you have the flow connected? Like, so when they sign up, it brings them back to that same. It sort of it remembers the wall, and then brings them back to it after the sign.
If they log in, yes. If they create a new account, no. I haven't hooked it up that far. But
yeah, that's it's a long.
So anyway, like most people who sign up, or most people who give me an email, don't actually request the email course. So I don't know, what programming language they're coming from or what level of Elixir they've learned. So I'm not sending out too many of those free email courses.
Well, couldn't you / shouldn't you, for the people who sign up that way, sort of get them on some kind of drip sequence or get them to connect with you in some way so that you can get them on a drip sequence and so that you can keep front of mind and gradually move them towards, paying?
Yeah, I think both paying and just continuing to use it, because I think the biggest problem is, sometimes even people that pay sometimes just forget to come back and trail off. So
can you show me the homepage again? I was wondering if you should, because essentially people who are learning Elixir and Phoenix, aren't they essentially creating new employment opportunity for themselves?
It's a mix. That there's some people who are doing that to get a job using Elixir. There are a lot of other people that are just doing it to level up, or because a pretty common one actually is like they're already using Rails at their office, and they're worried about some kind of scaling issue or something related to concurrency, and they're like, maybe we need to explore this technology.
So, do you have any kind of because what I'm thinking about is like the landing page copy. It doesn't say something like you're going to make your career better. You're going to potentially earn more money. You're going to potentially save more time in your day job. It doesn't say stuff like that. It's essentially just sort of saying, this is Learn Elixir. Do you think that would have any impact with those kind of landing pages or messages? Or
I don't know.
Are you already getting a very high, anyone who hits it signs up? It's a very high ratio because they've already found it.
It's relatively high. So it's hard to tell because I don't have perfect analytics before they've signed up. But I think a lot of people watch a fair amount of content before they sign up. Mm-hmm. So
okay. And that's through YouTube kind of thing.
Through YouTube or through the site.
Or through the search. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of my YouTube traffic is from people on the site watching YouTube videos.
It's good because it's like a really low friction way. You're not trying to push anything on them, and you're building trust. You're building real trust as they get to know you and get value from you. And then at some point they're like, yeah, I trust this guy. I trust this site. I'm just going to kind of sign up.
Yeah. I mean, part of that's because it's a subscription. So if they're not happy long term, it doesn't work for me anyway.
Yeah.
If it were a one-off sale, then I'm sure like the landing page would matter a lot more. Although I'm sure it still matters a ton.
So do you have are you interested in, and do you have some kind of plan that you're going to roll out regarding the way that this email thing is going to develop? Or is it more like how do you want to do the podcast? Like, is this something where we just, in like a couple of weeks, I just say, oh, by the way, how's the email stuff doing? Or do we like track it and like carefully like log everything, and then every time, what way should we do this? That's kind of interesting to viewers.
Yeah, that's a good question too. So I was thinking of just doing a big overview for the marketing plans for Alchemist Camp today, and then in the future focusing more and more on the analytics site, since that's something that's probably interesting to more viewers. Although I don't know. I mean, some people are probably making membership sites too.
Okay, so that's the other product that you're building, which is the analytics product.
Yeah, I think this one is just because I'm still making the site for this podcast, so I just by necessity I've been spending a lot of time on Alchemist Camp related stuff.
Okay,
but I can give the way I see everything, and then maybe you can tell me where I'm probably off and what stuff makes more sense.
I mean, I like this. The way I sort of feel about this podcast and these meetings is it's just like this is like our own, two-man mastermind kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's the way I hope that this is going to develop, this podcast / mastermind, is that we're going to like talk with each other, give each other feedback. Then there will be other people who might know more than us, hopefully, or know as much as us or something like that, also watching, and basically say things like, no, you guys are completely wrong. You should think, or have you thought about this, Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping it becomes a bigger mastermind group, because it's not just you and me talking, it's also other people observing us moving forward and doing well or making mistakes.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
So, okay. So maybe the best thing is I'll just be totally open about where everything is for Alchemist Camp, and then say like what's working, what's not. I may have to blank out the video for a minute if I pull up any customers' emails on ConvertKit. Scrubbed out a second because someone's email came up. So you can see I have just over 2,000 email subscribers. Average open rate is 37%. Average click rate is 5.5. I've only sent 14,000 emails since Black Friday. So that's not a ton. I have one big sequence basically. And
but that is automated, it looked like. It's 5 emails, right?
yeah. This one is 5 emails. Although I wrote them each like hours in advance of them going out.
Okay, so I got it. So it wasn't actually automated, but it could be. Got it, yeah.
Yeah. So, this one is just this, I don't want to go too deep into it, but it starts off very high level, and then, talking about your career, as you'd mentioned, and then some specific, like deployment is something everyone was having problems with. So this one was popular. Then a little help, and then, then like the really, salesy stuff.
Let's see the stats of each of those emails again. So can you see the stats of the actual emails? If you go back to your main list view.
Reports.
So
I guess I started with 1,700 subscribers because this was a couple months ago. And the end of the cycle had 1,689 left. The open rate is pretty consistent. Yeah. And the click rate went up like once the offer was out there. And so did unsubscribes.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So this is the workhorse for sales. I mean, I've got a fair number of people that have just come in more organically, but I don't push them anywhere on the site to buy other than, gating some content. And I logged in to a bunch of stuff, and so my password is not shared with everybody. You can see the MRR on my Stripe account is, it's just this noticeable change once I started doing email marketing. This was the first time. The second time was here. It's a little bit harder to see because Black Friday split over November and December, but it was another huge jump. And so clearly, like that was worthwhile. And I only had a small number of unsubscribes as a result. But I see. Sorry, go ahead.
You're doing something very right if you've got flywheel style monthly recurring revenue from an education site. That is extremely difficult to achieve. So you've got some magic going on here.
Yes, I just hear about the people who do it better, like Adam Wathan or that kind of thing. But maybe so. The thing, so there are two things I think. Like one is, the email. Like I definitely got a big boost there. Maybe there's a lot more to be gained from going deeper into it. Another thing I've been thinking about though is the top of the funnel, and that's because it's really not grown that much. This is my YouTube channel. This is, the total views. And, looking at it over the lifetime, like say now is early 2020, going to like early 2019, it's, it's a bit bigger, but not that much.
Is that per day?
This is, I
Those
believe
numbers.
that's by day, but not sure how to change it to week or month on the new.
No, it's fine.
YouTube.
I just wanted to get a reference. That's fine.
But going, so just going to like the last 365 days, again, it's up a little bit, but it's up like 15% or something. So I'm glad I'm monetizing the audience better, but I think the top of the funnel is not really growing as much as the engagement of the heavy users and the buying.
Well, do you have any ideas on how to grow that? Like, is there any sort of examples that you can learn from out there that successes?
Yeah, there are a few. So it's always a little tricky though, because if I look at like what works for YouTubers, they generally go really mainstream and they go further and further away from the kind of content people will pay for. So, like no, it's never going to be a really viral video to watch somebody typing and explaining something about a programming language.
Like, it's almost like, I mean, I wonder, without like being too, what's the word? Not scary is the best thing I can think of. But I wonder if YouTube is the right platform. Like, should it be Twitch? Should it be Twitch, or should it even just be Vimeo and then your website?
I've tried Twitch.
Tell us about it. Yeah.
So Twitch is interesting because like I did Twitch, back at like the beginning it's mid 2018, and I had maybe 500 YouTube followers then. I got like 50 to 70 Twitch followers really quickly, and there was a lot of engagement. And then I just didn't get any more than that. And I think in order to do well on Twitch, I'd have to be really disciplined about always streaming at the same time. Because it's like especially traditionally, it's just like the stream in the moment. And so everything about promoting people is based on like you being live at a certain time. Your page is supposed to say what your streaming schedule is going to be. And with YouTube, I just, make a video whenever I want to, and it stays up forever.
So Twitch doesn't have any sense of like YouTube, like recorded videos. It doesn't have any growth in that way. Can you put, for example, these same videos on Twitch?
I'm not sure about that. I think it may have changed, but I believe Twitch is just live streaming. You can set your videos to save. You can like archive your previous streams. So there were a couple videos where I did them on Twitch first and then moved them to YouTube. And they performed really badly on YouTube because
interesting.
Well, because on YouTube it's all a little bit more polished. Like I edit my videos before I put them on YouTube. Whereas on Twitch, it's just like me doing it live and figuring it out as I go.
Yeah.
And if I'm actually there live, some people want to watch that and like, comment and say, hey, why don't you grab this library or something? But
yeah. It's sort of like, in a way, what we're doing is like probably should be Twitch because we're literally trying, working this out as we go along.
Maybe.
But yeah, no, okay.
That would be a big mastermind.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. But then no, because we couldn't do that because there are screens that we're putting on there that do have things like passwords and stuff like that. We definitely need to be able to edit it after the fact. So, and I'm trusting you with my stuff, by the way. So, well, hope you edit that out.
So far, just mine today, but I will edit. So
okay.
that's like a big chunk of the stuff I've been thinking about for marketing. Going on podcasts, I think is great. I've got one scheduled soon, which is called Does Not Compute, which is fairly big. Let's see here. Like community forums. I've participated a fair amount on our Elixir and a bit on Elixir Forum. Elixir Forum seems good because it's like huge and super focused. But it's also like it's not someplace where I can just promote my stuff. I have to, help people with what they're struggling with.
So when you have in your on that Elixir forum in your signature you have Mark Alchemist Camp learn about Elixir. Click this link, right?
They don't have signatures, but in my profile.
In your profile, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So it does link back. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yep, and I can share some screencasts. Like making the site for this podcast is going to be shared on that forum.
Okay.
Let's see. Indie Hackers has been horrible for this. I'm hoping with an analytics product that's good for a lot of indie hackers. It can get some traction there, but learning a niche programming language just is not going to resonate with more than a small handful of people there.
Yeah.
Stack Overflow, I haven't done anything with. GitHub and Stack Overflow, I've thought about, like, could this be a community marketing channel for a screencasting site or not?
You haven't quite worked out how to, yeah. What about I was going to say Facebook groups.
I have looked at that like a year and a half ago. I'm not really on Facebook much anymore though. So,
Okay.
I would have to see like a lot of potential to go for that.
So what about these experiments?
Well, yeah, I have a few that I'm working on, and notifications are definitely happening. I've like already laid out the schemas for how I'll set it up, and I
push notifications through the web.
Well, not push, but basically just like that bell you see on Indie Hackers, just so when someone comes to the site, they can, they could see there's something waiting for them, and they can click on it and see like, there are 2 articles new since you've been here last time.
I see. Yeah.
And those could also be sent out as transactional emails if people, don't opt out of it, or if they want that kind of notification. Mm-hmm. Same thing for comments. Like now that I'm doing my own native commenting instead of Discus, if someone replies to a comment or comments in a thread that you've commented on, that would be a good reason to email. And I could see that increasing engagement and helping SEO.
Did that commenting come through the stuff that we're doing with the podcast website?
No.
Are you going to do it anyway?
I just already did. In fact, like that strangely, that was the most popular thing I've tweeted in a while. I was like, Discus is gone. I've got native comments. Enjoy the fewer ad trackers and faster page loads, and got like
let's go
4 retweets or something. Yeah, 4 retweets, bunch of likes. So
okay,
yeah. That is. Let me just close that here so I don't keep clicking it. So that's hopefully going to move the needle. I don't know. Even less likely. I've kind of thought about redesigning things. External experiments. This podcast we're doing right now is kind of one, not for Alchemist Camp specifically, but it should, it should help in terms of just audience and feedback.
The brand of Mark Wilbur, and also the analytics tool potentially might.
And maybe more people hear about Nugget. In fact,
maybe
let me share my last broadcast with you on ConvertKit. I just sent this big update, like, here are all these lessons I've done. Look at the top link clicked.
Nugget.
20 people were like, "Oh, I want to see what this Nugget thing is."
But wait a minute. What does the email say?
Oh, well, it mentions this podcast.
It mentions a bunch of different things. That's cool.
How do I? Oh, here we go.
Wait,
Contact.
so Nugget and then texting live at the top 2 clicked links.
Yes. Well, I
How
said
is text?
I mentioned this podcast, and I said I recorded 1 episode with you, and you were from my favorite podcast of last year. We're going to be talking about Alchemist Camp and its projects, and also your platform, Nugget, which we talked about all last episode.
I feel bad now because if you look at those stats, that was your email that you sent out, and I have benefited the most from you sending that out.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Look, click back and look. That's that. I feel embarrassed. I feel embarrassed. So show engagement overview. Yeah. I definitely feel embarrassed that the top 2 click links are Nugget and texting live.
Well, all the rest were mine, though.
Yeah, that's true. You've done pretty well.
I
out
think
of the
it was
rest.
curiosity.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
So,
that's good.
Yeah, just throwing that out there.
Nice.
I think work in public. That's what Nathan Perry said, right? Like, create every day.
So open,
teach everything.
Okay,
you know.
so that's just like that's just increasing log surface area, really.
Yeah,
we already spoke about that mental model log surface area. So that's what this podcast is about for both of us. Then open source.
Yeah. So I've written most of a wrapper for ConvertKit's API and Elixir, and right now there isn't one. and I'm like, I have no idea. Like, if I open source that, does that move the needle for anything?
I don't know. I mean,
Or will I just, get buried in support requests for people doing things with ConvertKit that I'm not? Like, I could see it going either way.
Yeah. So maybe, I mean, if we think about, hyper iterating, doing small tests, that might be a larger test, maybe too big. It might have too many ramifications. But plus also you're doing so much other stuff.
Yeah.
You need to be sort of selective about what you're doing. Meetups, how can they move the needle here?
Well, I'm not in the right city for it, which is why I haven't really done it. But I know a lot of people with programming channels have gone to lots of meetups and, done either like a beginner's workshop or taught something or mentioned something they're working on. And it's definitely not like the fast way to grow, but if people know you and have learned something from you and trust you, know, like, and trust, then they may be more likely to become a customer. And at the point where Alchemist Camp is now, I have about 100 customers. I believe
that's good.
101. But it wouldn't, I mean, like, say I were living in San Francisco last year and I had gone to a meetup every single week, like different meetups each time, like that may have been like 100 customers just from doing that.
100 customers. How often do you get on the phone and talk to any of those?
I've done that a number of times with one who I've gotten to know fairly well, and then just a handful of other times total.
I wonder if there's any benefit in like getting to know a few more of those people, maybe getting them invested in your mission, So that's one of the things that I talk about in Nugget is the idea of a seed group and sort of creating customers who are also sort of part of your journey and who kind of just by wanting to, because you're serving them well and you're helping them and you're giving them a great product and they become friends with you and they get to know you and they get to like you, then they might also share some of their thought space about how can I make, how can Alchemist Camp be better? How can we promote it? And they feed that back to you, because that's exactly what happened with me with a couple of products. And, you get these sort of super customers, and it's great to nurture that group because they can kind of, that's another way that you can be helped.
Yeah, I'm not in a location where it's easy to do that, but I think.
Oh, I haven't done any of that in real world. It's all on Slack, Skype. It's all completely virtual.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like microconf or something like that.
No.
Okay.
I'm 100% talking about like you get on the phone with them, you're in a Slack with them, you email them, like they're just a customer who's sort of a more involved customer.
So that just gave me an idea, actually, of just building chat into the site. And in fact, I was already planning on doing that for our podcast site.
Nice.
Not like
so like an instant chat?
Yeah, like basically like I was thinking like a little widget, not like Olark, but just like a little widget that's like Justin's online or Mark's online. And it would just be when we happen to be at the site and logged in and like, have interacted with it in the last 10 seconds or something. And then someone could, click and say hello or something like that.
Well, that would be really good, especially if you did the Olark thing of just saying, "Hi, it's Mark here. I'd love to talk with you about your experience on the site." And that's just sort of auto pops that up and it starts those conversations and you start talking to those people because people really do like if you communicate with them well, they'll want to be part of your journey. I mean, that's it, in a way it sounds almost cynical, but I found it to just not be cynical. It's just good to have a group of people who want to see you succeed.
Oh, for sure.
And who sort of want to help. Yeah.
So you would do that like an automated one where it's like pre-recorded with a welcome message, or just if you're online, it shows that you are, and then they can chat?
I think if you're online, I mean, especially in your case, I don't think you need to go to the level of like scheduling Calendly meetings with them.
Yeah.
You know, I think you can keep it more organic than that. I do think that you should do it so that when you're online and if other people are online, they can start talking to you. But honestly, what I really think is you should start something like a Slack group that's not even on Alchemist Camp. It's something separate, and you just drive people into that group. And it could be Slack. Maybe if you don't like Slack, it could be some other thing like that.
Discord.
It could be Discord. It could be. I mean, look, it could be a room on what's the name of that? It could be a room on IRC. It could be a hash channel.
Well,
I'm just saying, like, find a way of driving people in there and making it so that it's your little place.
Why not have it on the site then?
Well, one reason to not have it on the site is that they have to be on the site. You can't just talk to them all the time. So obviously, talk about surface area of your reach to them. So with Slack, I've found that to be extremely useful because a lot of people, it'll just be on their phone. They're already on it. When they're on their web browser, it's there, So then you've got this sort of connected community of people. You have a general channel where they can talk to each other and help each other out. And then they'll be asking questions that you'll be able to pick up on as well. And you'll be able to go, oh, I need to do videos about this. I need to do that.
Yeah. So it sounds like Slack or Discord or maybe WhatsApp would make sense.
Yeah. I mean, I favor Slack just because everyone's already on it and it's super easy and it's free for what you need. It's been it's been very effective with Nugget. It's just a really easy way to keep to create like a live hub of people and talk to them and interact with them and build relationships with them.
Yeah, even for me, like going through a fair amount later than everyone else in my batch.
You're talking about Nugget right now.
Yeah, I can still see like what the previous people have mentioned, and occasionally if I post something, like some of them will see it. So yeah, it's definitely a plus. I guess the only thing that bugs me about Slack is that it disappears. Like if it stayed, like if the archive stayed up, then I think there's an alternative.
There is an alternative, so you could just use that. I can't remember what the alternative is off the top of my head, but just use that from the get-go. And they have apps. They have, they're on all the mobile phones. And I mean, developers wouldn't. I find developers are much easier to convince to install a new alternative like that than grandmas.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but so I think that's one thing that we don't have on this list. It's just like building my seed group, building my fan base, my product user fan base. I don't know what to call that.
All right, it's added.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, so I mean, we kind of like spent a lot of time on all this, but man, what am I going to do next? I think I'm just going to focus on finishing up that site and making the content, and then maybe after that, emails number 2.
Wait, so the site being the podcast site?
The podcast site. But the thing is, the podcast site is a series of tutorials on live view, and that's actually doing pretty well. So
great.
Well, it's like this hot new technology people want.
So look, and that's had enough views that we probably might get 10 podcast listeners from that.
Honestly, I think as soon as this is published and people can get the podcast, there'll be no problem getting at least like 100 listeners and 200 watchers. Okay.
Exciting.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's awesome. Okay, well, I don't have a huge amount of time, but I'll just give like a quick overview of where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'll just take over the screen now. We were talking about mental models. I want to add a new one on.
Nice.
There you go. Yeah, so we spoke about these mental models quite a lot during the last call. We didn't get into the strategy. I'm not 100% sure about the strategy. I do have some ideas that I'm going to talk through with you. But the one mental model that you brought up that I really liked, and I don't know where it fits into this, but I'm just going to mention it here. And it's sort of one of those things. Progressive rendering is the mental model. And wait a second. Let's just have a look at what that means. Progressive rendering. Let's look at images here. Wait. Progressive rendering.
Oh,
GIF,
okay.
maybe?
I know. Yeah. I
So
remember now.
GIF. Like, so here we go. So this is a great example of it. Okay. So it's a great mental model. Like, so what we were talking about was the Nugget course right now is in the detail level the whole way through. So I go into great detail and explain things step by step. And your one feedback, well, not your one feedback, but the feedback that I thought was really, really good about the Nugget course was perhaps you should do this progressive rendering concept. So basically show the broad strokes, then get a bit deeper, and bring more definition, you know. But the more that I've thought about that as a mental model, it applies to everything, really. I mean, that's how you should write software, you know. That's how you should build a business.
Get all the pieces up, like a scaffold, and then build.
Yeah, scaffold, then build. Yeah, so I really like it as an overall way of thinking about things.
As opposed to like drawing the perfect eyebrow and then moving on to the next thing.
That's right. Yeah, so I don't know where it fits here. I guess product. So it goes into product solution, progressive rendering. Oops. Let's see.
Is this online anywhere?
What, this mind map?
Yeah.
No, it's just a local. MindNode is like local Mac software.
So we should put this on the show notes too.
We probably should do that. So, I haven't looked at this strategy thing for a few weeks, but let me just tell you, I'm worried if I expand it all that it's gonna. Let's see. All right. Well, I'm just thinking about marketing surface area. Did we talk about this last time?
You talked about number of surface areas.
Did I specifically go into the marketing surface area, what I was thinking about doing for the next year, 2020?
No, you didn't. It was just the concept, I believe.
Okay, yeah. All right. So for me, myself, I'm thinking about this marketing surface area that is essentially lock surface area as well, that can help all of the different things that you do. So one thing that I wanted to do was to rework my blog. So it's really outdated, and I think that should probably be my main way that people come into the world of Justin Vincent, you know, is through that blog. Right now it's a bit higgledy-piggledy, you know, people are coming in through different ways, but there isn't my blog is just so, I mean, let's just have a look at it. It's just like, what?
I remember that bold statement at the top.
It's just like, what? And like the last thing, I mean, I didn't write, I mean, that was written like at least, let's see how many years ago. 2 years ago.
2 versions ago.
3 years ago. So it's just I don't even like the look of it. I just think it should be just a more simple text blog, and I think it should have more value and just bring back more of the standard type blog concept. Yeah.
It didn't look especially dated to me, but I can see what you're saying now.
Well, I'd forgotten that I'd just as a hack just plugged in this template with these images, which wasn't very sensible. That's because I did it for the Nugget blog, and it did make sense on the Nugget blog. I'll just show you. You'll see now. Wait. Yeah. I can't remember. Is it blog.nugget?
Oh, subdomain. I have no idea. I guess so.
Yeah. So basically, I felt it does make sense here because it's sort of a very markety kind of concept. And I just basically just copied that same brand idea onto my own website, but it just doesn't work as well. Anyway, so that's one thing, is to make the blog better, to redirect the Nugget blog to that blog. And by blog, I don't even know. I sort of think I might need to build this thing from the ground up, just really quickly, like an HTML type thing, just so that I can get it exactly the way that I want it, and get some email pop-ups in exactly the right time and all that type of stuff. So the Reactor podcast is another thing to just sort of grow my own Lux surface area, and also, but not just that, also to just work with you. What I really like about working with you is you've read so much and you've seen so much that other people have written. So it's great talking to you, because you'll always sort of throw back, oh yeah, that's like this thing I read here. It's just nice to have that. So YouTube, this was an idea I had for Nugget, was to basically gradually take some of the content there and put it on YouTube, and sort of do what you've done a little bit.
I think YouTube is a pretty amazing growth channel, especially if it's something more businessy like Nugget, as opposed to deeply technical.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many crazy niches that have way more people following them than you'd think they should.
Right. My favorite is that woman who builds useless machines, and I think she's the one. she builds like, so she's essentially learnt tech, learnt to be an engineer through building useless machines. Like, she built like a robot that fed her cereal, and it was terrible. It's always really, really bad at the job. So the arm sort of picks up the packet of Cheerios and pulls it out into a bowl. So the whole packet goes into the bowl, and then it picks up a spoon, and milk goes all over her face.
Makes us feel better after all those Boston Dynamics videos.
Right. Oh, that's the goals. Why is that there? I'm not so organized this week. But what I wanted to tell you is I have a different product idea that I think might tie all the stuff that I'm working on together. So I showed you Speak, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did I mention it last week?
I don't believe you did, but you've mentioned it on your other podcast. So.
Okay, yeah. So Speak is basically a product that I'm working on. And what that product does is it lets you record interactive demos on your site. So rather than using a video, it actually just records the way that you move your mouse over your site, over the elements, and lets you record audio. And then just sort of plays it back directly on your site. So it's disintermediating the concept of video. So you don't have like a video on the page at all. It's just like JavaScript manipulating the website and playing it back. So that's interesting. But I've done. Let me see. You might need to blank out some people's email addresses here.
Okay.
Let me just log in 1 second. I had about 50 people sign up to Speak for beta trials. And from publishing it to the betalist.com website, this is the number of people who visited.
That site actually brought people? Wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, betalist.com is great for the right products. Yeah.
Okay. Alchemist Camp went on there and was not a big
it's
hit.
not the right product. No, it's not the right product. So it's if you are if you are can somehow work with a consumer facing or everyone who builds a website or a blog type thing, then it can drive a lot of traffic. Yeah. So this is actually Speak tracking these statistics, by the way. So when someone comes to the Speak homepage, it tracks it, and so this is the public home Speak recording. So the presentation that I just showed you on that page. Let's see here. This presentation is what they see.
So can people actually sign up for it now?
No, people can't sign up. They can just, so at the bottom of that page, it's basically they can just get on the beta list. But I've already spoken to enough people to know that Speak is kind of a tricky product. It's not something that is going to be like your stats product. Your stats product it's proven, it makes sense. You're creating a simplified stats product, and people can plug it into their website and they can instantly get value from it. Speak is a more nuanced product, and because it's a completely new technology, I don't even understand how it truly helps people. I know that it's a great new technology. It's almost like a technology that's looking for a problem rather than a solution for a problem. So I need to learn more about it. It's just not ready for prime time yet. That's what I've learned.
Is anybody using it for like product tutorials? Like here's how to use our product?
No one is using it for product tutorials. Like I said, I had about 50 people sign up to the beta list, and I spoke to a lot of them. And quite promising people that I spoke to really wanted to use it to do fully interactive tutorials, and the technology is not ready for that because it doesn't. At the moment, it just records you moving around and scrolling around, but it doesn't record you, for example, clicking on a drop down and then navigating to another page. It is useful, but I don't fully know how it's useful in all the different use cases. So I sort of need to explore it more. What would be great would be if I could build a product and then use Speak on that product to demo that product, and that product was just a more regular product, and then that would really help me understand how to use Speak. So I've got Nugget, and I can use it on Nugget, and I've got another product idea, and I'm going to use it on that. And so that's how I'm going to tie everything together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's like guaranteed to make you make a better product if you're using it yourself and hitting all the rough edges.
Right. Yeah. So what I'm going to tackle for the other product, this is not guaranteed, but it's what I'm thinking about, is I've just been looking at everything that I do and looking at all the different places where I might need to scratch my own itch, and this is one of the idea generation methods mentioned in Nugget. There's a weakness in my productivity tracking, like a not exactly project management, but it's more about what I'm specifically doing during any given working session or any given day. So basically, I use the famous big ass text file method, where I just list all the things that I'm doing in a text file.
Me too.
And I'm finding that is suboptimal. What I would really like is something where I can just put in like all the stuff that I need to do, stuff that I'm working on, and it cleverly sort of helps me rank it and helps me do the more valuable things first, and I can sort of quantify and track the value that I'm bringing to my life by doing this. So I'm thinking of building a tool like that. The brand name I've got is called TaskFlow, and I've got some preliminary concept ideas for that.
Oh.
Let me just show you that. This is a mock-up tool here. There's competing theories about what you should work on, right? Like, should you work on just one thing that is the most important thing that's going to like change your life, or should you clean out the kitchen cupboard? You know, like that. We have lots of things to do.
How do you weigh those two?
Yeah, but I mean, if you only just work on the most important goal shifting thing, then your apartment turns to like a pile of rubbish, and you never do the cleaning, the washing up, and like life.
You just close the kitchen cupboard.
It's like So I want something that can help me manage, very important tasks, very minor tasks, and in betweens. And so what I have is this idea of a tool where you can when you add a task, you can kind of rank it a little bit. So you can sort of say, okay, this is very high value from a life goal point of view. This is kind of mundane. This is something that I need to be in a coding frame of mind to do, kind of thing. So you can add 100 tasks into here, and then you can use this left-hand nav to sort of browse your tasks by strategy. So you can kind of go just one thing. So it surfaces the ones that are really, have really major life impact. You can go structured procrastination. So that brings up something where it's going to bring up two tasks. Number one, the most painful, and number two, slightly less painful, because that's what structural procrastination is. You will do the second task on that list because you really don't want to do the first task. Number three, like frame of mind here. So this is going to bring up, so let's say, for example, at 10 a.m. every day, that's perfect coding time for me. So here I'm going to bring stuff up, and it's going to bring stuff that requires concentration, And so I pick those tasks, and then it's going to put them into the My Sites queue. So here I've got stuff that this is what I'm going to be working on today. And then right now is what I'm working on, and it's going to be super simplified. And what I do want is a text editor right there. I always want a text editor so that I can put notes in it. And then over time, I want to be able to go in and look at stats and say, this week, I accomplished this much on a life important task. I accomplished this much on this, and this is how much of an impact I'm having these different areas.
I'm kind of gobsmacked. I mean, you're doing a lot of stuff, right? Like you've got a fairly little kid and a full-time CTO job, and you're doing Nugget and Speak, and now you're doing like a side thing to become even more productive. So I'm kind of like, no.
Well, it's not quite like that because if we go back to the mental models here, okay, basically think small. So and the goals, the goals that I spoke about last time. So creating some revenue. Mm-hmm. So I'm weighing up like what's the best way. What is the best way to create some kind of I'd said 250K from a side project, but then I said, no, actually, really, I just 50 is fine. But what is the best way to create something that creates some kind of flywheel revenue? Well, obviously, there's issues with Nugget. That's got a problem because if you look at the Nugget revenue, so if we look at the all time, like basically. This is every time the course is released, and this is not recurring revenue. Where's the monthly recurring revenue shown?
That's on the billing tab.
Check this out. Monthly recurring revenue is $372.
How does that work?
because the reason is because that's leftover recurring revenue from when it used to be. It used to sell SaaS ideas, and people are paying like $20 to have access to the premium ideas of Nugget. But now the only thing that I actually sell now is the course and bringing in batches. And so this volume is from like Black Friday type concepts. So every time someone pays $2,000 or whatever to be in it, and maybe that's either they're paying it up front or they're dripping it out, but most of those are paid off at this stage. So this is not a great way to create flywheel revenue.
And you need them to all go through at the same time, right? Like you couldn't really do an evergreen email sequence.
I think that's something that needs to be discussed, and that's sort of what we're thinking about in these sessions. I think that is possible, but I'm not sure that it's the right way to sell courses, because I think the way that courses sell really well is through time-limited events, collecting people up in a list, having them in a waiting list, and saying that you're opening the doors. I think that is, to sell high-priced courses, that is probably the best way.
You get Twitter buzz. Yeah, I think maybe.
But the point is that Nugget is not great for my flywheel revenue, for my personal goals, right? Speak is a great product, but it's not. It's beginning to be a product that needs more research, but it's not great for my flywheel revenue goals. So what I've been thinking about is there anything that's more like a no-brainer, low price point type of product that I can bring value to the world, that's in a very big market, that could actually somehow tie everything together and be useful and basically be that flywheel product. So what I'm thinking about for this... what I'm thinking about for this is, it's a Nugget test case, because basically I'm just following Nugget by building this. Like the reason why I pick this is because of the way that Nugget tells you to pick ideas. I've sort of gone through that process. gone through that process, and this is the idea that it comes up with. So it helps. It's sort of a nugget test case. But then also, I can use Speak in this product to demo it so people can see Speak in action, actually onboarding people onto a product. And then that's a validated, at least for me, seeing how Speak works and helps people use it. So then, and that also, by the way, coincidentally, makes it easier for me to onboard people to this product because Speak is really good to onboard people to a product.
Yeah,
so
it's synergy. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking about. And then also, I do have this genuine problem of just this big ass text file, and I find it a very suboptimal way to work. And I want to be able to just go in and just have a much better way of working in the moment, just me working in the moment. So this is not to compete with Trello. This is not to compete with Jira. This is not a time tracking tool. It's basically to compete with the big ass text file. That's literally what this is to compete with.
That one, yeah, that's interesting. It's such a broad B2C market. It's going to be interesting to see how you go about this.
Well, here's the thing. The market's ginormous. The revenue that I need, for a flywheel is not a lot. I mean, I'm not looking to become a billionaire through this or something like that. I mean, if this makes $5,000 a month, that's perfectly fine. And I don't need, even at $5 a month price points, I don't need a ridiculous amount of customers. I mean, okay, I guess I need 1,000 customers to make $5,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
At $5, and I don't need it to scale up to that level really quickly because it's synergistic. It helps me as a test case for Nugget, and it helps me with Speak.
So is this going to be a web app or a mobile app or
web app? Yeah. If I do it, I'm still thinking it through. That's part of the reason why I'm presenting it to you right now.
It's interesting
to sort of see.
To me, it looks really hard to sell, but it's also super hard to predict because like Workflowy was, just kind of like stagnant forever and then blew up.
Well, it's going to be very much about consumer content. Like I'm strong at content marketing.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very content marketing consumer oriented, which I was very strong with Plugio. So it's going to be kind of similar to that. And, the market is billions of people kind of thing. So I just need to find just the right few, just scrape off a few. I mean, even the market's so huge. The idea of me getting 100 people paying for this is not.
It seems
not ridiculous.
Yeah, it seems like this one you'll need or not need, but it'd be ideal if you could get some sort of cult thing going, like CrossFit enthusiasts or like carnivore diet people, or just like some sort of like group of people where they have like some overarching belief system that this fits into. It's like, this is how I'm gonna like organize because I'm this kind of, I'm a task follower.
Yes, I think you're exactly right. I think it needs to be content driven. I think that it needs to have things like guest blog posts from each one of these is a strategy. And I think that, so one of the things I was thinking of doing is, let me try and find a good way of sharing this one second. So I had this idea of when you add a task, to make it super easy, and this is a terrible version of the UI, but I know I could make a really subtle version of the UI where it didn't seem overwhelming, and just sort of as you moved your mouse around, it'd be really quick. So you add a task, so you just add your, this is my task, and then you just, go pop, pop, click a few different things, like this has a massive life impact. This has, a small pain level or high pain level. So you can just choose 3 of these things, maybe pop, 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 and then click go, and then it adds it to the stack. And so as you select these things, and this might be a scrolling list, this might be a list that you can add custom things to. As you select these things, they come up to the top, and maybe even you sort of have another little bunch of radios here that's like, regular coding task, and it automatically selects these. So it makes it super fast for you to add these things. So what that will enable you to do is, like, after a week, you'll be able to, I'm envisioning a chart with concentric circles, where you can look at this chart and it will basically say, the last week, life impact, the last week, pain. So you can sort of just quantify, you can self-quantify what you've done during the last week and the last month.
It's like pain that the task gets rid of or that it causes.
Well, it's you can set it, you can set that up. So
Okay.
it's different quantification metrics. So that's one side of it. And then for the power players, I'm thinking that these strategies, you could even just go ahead and write your own algorithm, how to pull them out there, So these are sort of suggested strategies. This is a just one thing strategy where it's gonna order things by, life impact, health impact. But maybe you're an eco warrior, right? And you want to organize things by how much impact it's having to the environment, how much impact it's having to the local environment. And so that when you're just working on your tasks, you can help yourself sort of sort through things in that way. So it's not really it's not a one size fits all type of thing. It's like an all sizes fits all type of thing.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
it's like a more sophisticated prioritization setup that a computer helps you with.
It's exactly but prioritization and analytics, self quantification.
Yeah, I'll have to see more.
Yeah. Okay. It's just the beginning genesis of it.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Cool. Well, I definitely like the synergy between all those things.
Yeah.
It reminds me what one of your old podcast guests, James Altucher, said. It's like if you do 2 or 3 things, it's horrible. You should either like really focus on one thing or do 12 things that all help each other.
That's right. Yeah.
It is super late over here, so maybe we should.
Jack was just talking to me right there, so you probably have to just edit that last little bit too.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for talking through. And so I think that that might be my main thing that I do, and then by doing it, I'm doing Nugget, and I'll sort of just talk about Nugget when I talk about some decisions about that. And so, this fits all of my criteria. It's a tiny little snowball. It's something that I can do on my own. I don't need other people. It's something that helps me. It's something that helps all of the other businesses that I'm working on. It's easy to test. So that's sort of why.
So this will be like your guinea pig project.
Yeah, pretty much. If I do it, I still need to fully think it through, but I'm feeling pretty strong about it right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Any last thoughts or goals for before next week?
Goals. I have a big release for the day job on February 20th. It's the February the 5th right now. So I pretty much can't do anything apart from just talk to you and maybe do the odd mock-up for this. So maybe I'll just try and for next week have a couple more mock-ups of this to give, because you said you need to see more. So I'll try and help you see more.
It's not urgent, but I need to see more to understand it.
Yeah, I'll try and help you see more. That's my goal for next week.
Cool.
Try and help Mark see more.
Sounds good. I like seeing more. Yeah.
And how about you? What's your?
Gonna try to get out and exercise at least 3 times. Probably just go jogging.
Yeah.
And get the reactor site done. Not all screencasted, but at least and actually not totally done, but just at least enough that it's deployed and it's functional and we can put the podcasts on it since we've got 2 now.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Well, if it can be that far, I mean, if you can do that by next week, that's amazing. I'll be impressed.
Well, that's the plan.
All right. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to stop recording.
All right. See you next week.